Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday. I am your host, Mr. Kadish. Get it right. Joining me, as always, is my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dutch Butters. How you doing, Dutch?
I'm waking up. Still a little asleep, but that's okay. No big deal. I want to commend you guys for the introduction today, making me and Brian super gay together. That was a little weird. Did not expect that.
You are 15% gay.
So. Right.
It's not gay. 10%. It's 80s.
It's 10%. Yeah. And I want the chat to know that I don't approve. They don't bring any of this stuff to me beforehand. They just, what are we going to do to Dutch this week? And they just throw it out there. And I'm always just as surprised as you guys are when I turn the stream on and go, holy shit, what are we doing now?
Wait till next week.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say I had nothing to do with today's intro. That was 100% Mr. Montgomery over here. He's just acting out his fantasies and via AI. So.
I know you're our representation on the panel, Brian, but you need to calm your shit down, brother. Okay.
Speaking of calming shit down, we have Brian from the Popcast. He is our shield against all things intersectional and DEI. How you doing, Brian?
Not bad. Next week I'm going to add Tom, and the week after that I'm going to add Odin.
Oh, nice.
And the week after that it's going to be Matt. Eventually it's going to be all five of us walking down in slow motion, walking down a beach in thongs and shirtless and oiled up while explosions just hail in the distance.
Hey, that's what the viewers want. That's what our chat
That's what they want.
So we got to give it to them.
It's going to end with Dutch on the sand with his just a shot of his feet. His toenail feet.
Did you guys see Sydney Sweeney's dress at that?
Oh God, did I?
Everyone did.
Wow.
Hello.
Wow. That was ridiculous.
It must have been a little chilly out there. It's crazy.
Well, she definitely knows what she's doing.
She
give
does
her that much. Speaking of knowing what you're doing, Odin, you got your facts in front of you today?
Always speaking from facts. Happy Hallowtide to everyone today.
Yes. Halloween was yesterday.
Hallowtide?
Had a good time
Hallowtide
giving everyone diabetes.
Because Halloween is literally All Hallows Eve, because it's the eve of All Saints. So today is All Saints Day, and then tomorrow is All Souls Day. So we call these 3 days Hallowtide.
Why are you making all this stuff religious?
Not making any of this stuff up.
You're making it religious and weird. It's about dressing up as ghouls and ghosts and getting candy.
Because you know where it came from? The Catholic Church.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
But
people used to put masks on to scare away evil spirits.
Exactly. All right. Speaking of evil spirits, he has returned once again to haunt the live stream. Tom Connors Jr. finished his breakfast early this morning just so he could be on the live stream. How you doing, Tom? Welcome back.
If all we're going to talk about is Doctor Who, then I'm leaving.
We'll be talking about other stuff.
I think there's some Star Wars in there, Tom.
No.
Oh, fuck that.
No.
We are going to be talking about our leaderboard here. Scotty Dub is still at the top, along with Made You Say Butts. Mexican Iron Man is our most consistent donator, and the top gifters are, of course, Jillian N. Or I should say Jillian H., formerly Jillian N., Major Chai Chai, and Eric Winberg. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. We always appreciate it. But before we get into that, let's talk about how we need to hit 10 new memberships during the course of the live stream. Otherwise, Dutch Butters will be showing his feet and Brian will be taking off his clothes. So we don't want that to happen.
Man, please get us 10 subs. Nobody needs that.
10 subs. Just 10 subs throughout the course of the show. And also, guys, we're still trying to hit that 25K sub goal. Everyone else on the panel, they're just like, 25K. I snub my nose at that. But we here at the Salty Nerd Podcast, we'd love to hit that milestone before the end of the year. So if you guys know anyone who might like the show, feel free to recommend it to them.
We could pull the whole thing that Joel, who is the game master of the Helldivers video game, does when he puts a major order out there with a number attached to it. If we don't get close to it by the time it's almost ready to end it, he pushes a dial one way or the other to help everybody out, and they cheat it. So if we can always buy those subs, I think, if we don't have those up there by the end, or we can reduce the goal down to like 22.5.
We don't do fake subs here at the Salty Nerd Podcast, Mr. Butters. Shame on you. Yeah. Speaking of shame, what's going on with the Salty Nerd Discord, Mr. Butters?
Salty Nerd Discord. I'm getting lots of guys coming in wanting to play Battlefield 6. That's what we got going on over there. And in the gaming side, we restructured the thing. We have some new forums and stuff for the new games that are at Battlefield and Arc Raiders. Getting a lot of new people coming in from the gaming content. And from this side's content, nobody, I guess, uses Discord because it's really slow. So I don't know what else to say. Salty Nerd Discord guys, come in there and let's talk about movies and TV shows and the Doctor Who and the Retardus, and it could be
the Retardus.
We could have some fun. And
speaking of talking about movies and TV shows, Mephisto's movie reviews is going to be going on with Real McCoy after this show. But you know what else is going on after this show is the Brain Show. Brian pees in a cup right after the show ends, and then he goes and does his own thing with his brother Shane and John Yulden, his boyfriend. Brian, what are you talking about today on the Brain Show?
We're talking about Snap, aliens, and Elon Musk.
Just those three things?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff. Those are the top tier. So.
There's aliens crashing outside Area 51 again.
Yeah, the also that A1, that meteor or whatever, it was heading toward the sun, and then it made a detour, which is not something that normal natural phenomenon would do.
Yeah.
They don't change course.
We're gonna change course. We're gonna start slowing down.
It starts slowing down and starts turning around. You're like, why is it turning?
I heard Musk say something like it was non-gravity related, is what they know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Could it be that maybe another flying object just ran into it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's possible. Yeah.
Oh, why you gotta ruin everybody's fun?
Because I keep it
That's
real.
like 3 times today.
I keep it real, guys.
Nobody wants that.
Wait till he starts talking about Superman. So
I think
Crying out loud.
I want to know where the facility is for the EMP beam that they shoot straight up out of the sky out here in the desert. That breaks UFOs when they fly over, and they just kind of crash right there outside Area 51. So it's an easy way for them to go out and pick it up and take it into the secret squirrel hole that they have all the UFOs.
Are we going to ignore that Brian's going to talk about Snap? I mean, I love the song Rhythm as a Dancer. Nobody talks about Snap enough.
No, they
underappreciated band.
Great band.
Great. Speaking about an underappreciated band, there was something I wanted to address before we got into the show and proper. So a while back, I made a little AI video, nothing as good as what Brian made for the intro of today's show, but I made a video that really upset Mr. Butters here.
Dude, what are you doing?
And he threatened to basically end his association with me if I ever played it again. I felt really bad about that because I thought it was kind of funny, but he obviously did not. And so I wanted to make it up to him, guys.
Oh boy.
Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh no.
You see what I said about them just dropping shit in my lap?
Well,
I hate you.
This is a surprise for the chat. They're going to really enjoy this. I made a music video about Mr. Butters, and I'm going to do the world premiere right here, right now for everyone. And I hope you guys enjoy it because this is my love letter to Mr. Butters. Okay, here we go.
They call him Dutch Butter, the manliest man there ever was. Dutch Butter, and there ain't no other. I said Dutch Butters, there ain't no other. They call him Dutch Butters. Dutch butters, and there ain't no other. I said Dutch butters, and there ain't no other. They call them Dutch butters, and there ain't no other Dutch butters, and there ain't no
They call him Dutch butter.
All right,
So-
that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Actually, that was
Can I
he
make
have-
a note?
Does he
You
have
did-
hair or does he not have hair? That's
you
what I
are-
want to know.
You
I,
launched the rocket launchers and they went
I
behind
don't
you.
have hair.
And also at
Anyone-
the end, it's
anyone else
piano
notice that?
playing and he's still strumming his guitar. I'm just saying,
That's right.
I've got some critiques, all right?
I
I've
thought
got
it was really
some
funny.
critiques.
Like he's pointing the rocket launcher at the camera and then it shoots the wrong way. Like
Oh
some in
man,
the Army Now stuff.
I need to. Okay, you're forgiven, Matthew. You're forgiven. 'Cause that was some AI slop, but it was
Dutch
fucking awesome.
Dutch butters.
I'm gonna take that.
I wanted something you could be proud of, Dutch.
Yeah, I'm
See,
gonna take
now you just got to have Dan Vask do like a real version
that. Yeah,
of
that would
that
be
song.
sweet. That would be sweet. I need to. That's gonna be my new intro to my game streams. now. So I need you to send that to me for sure. It really turned Danny on in the chat. I can tell that already. So
I would totally, I would contribute to a fund to pay Dan Vask to do like an actual real version of that song.
yeah, the song was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wish I looked that good ever at any point in my life at a single point, but it was like you got Braun Strowman in some places, like being my body double.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Well, the legendary Dutch Butters, the man, the myth, the legend, he is deserving of an epic 80s music video. So wanted to deliver that because you were so appalled by your appearance in the K-pop video that we did.
Yeah,
with
that's
Brian.
gross. That's fucking gross.
What'd you use to make that one, Mr. Kadish?
Oh, I used a lot of different things, but mostly Grok.
Ah.
Surprisingly enough, yeah, Grok's
It's really cool.
pretty good.
we
Speaking of
talk-
good stuff,
I was
Go-
gonna say we
go
talk
ahead.
about we talk about AI a lot on here, and that's just one little simple example of stuff that us normies can use. So imagine what people with money and some skill can do. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
don't have skill, but you know what
I
I mean.
heard a
Literally-
funny,
literally everything in that video was AI generated. There was
Yeah.
nothing that was like
Yeah.
stock footage or anything like that.
I heard an interesting thing over the weekend, last weekend, where they go, AI is cool, and a lot of people dislike it. A lot of people like it, and the people that like it are people that have an excess amount of creativity, but very little motivation or funding.
Right. Right. There's definitely some lines being drawn between anti-AI and AI people. So it's
Well, what was
That's another
interesting
thing.
about that, so it's essentially a short film, right?
right.
And I wrote the lyrics for that song and I
my God.
generated until I found the ones that I liked. And I also created all the images for the visuals and had to animate them all myself. So like, it wasn't just like I typed in a prompt and that was spit out. It was like, there was a lot of work that went into that. Right. And it's just like, it's a portent of things to come. Because I think as
Yeah.
AI becomes more accessible, easier, cheaper, and more powerful, you're going to see people who can actually bring what they have in their head to life. So a lot of fun. But Dutch, that was my gift to you
Thank
as an
you.
apology for
That was
making,
nice.
the K-pop.
I
thing
feel
that,
feel really much cooler right now than I have in quite a while. So yes.
There you go. Speaking of cool, we have Eric Winberg who gifted 1 Salty Nerd podcast membership.
I'm
Thank
back.
you,
What I
Eric.
miss?
We're just doing super chats real quick, Tom. Then we got
Something about a music video. What?
yeah. Just wait. You'll have yours eventually.
don't wanna
GJJ,
member for 16 months, and then Jillian H, who gifted 5 Salty Nerd podcast memberships. Thank you all so much.
When you,
Appreciate guys.
I'm sorry, when you do Tom, he has to be doing kung fu moves in his backyard.
And he has a turtle shell.
Yes, right.
Well, we'll just take Vanilla Ice's ninja rap and make a little video
Sure.
with Tom.
Sure.
So there you go. All right, guys. So I know that you guys all love Star Wars on the panel. So let's talk a little bit about the new Star Wars rumor, which is basically that Rogue Squadron, the famous announced and then immediately canceled Patty Jenkins movie, is being readapted into a TV series, supposedly, according to the rumor mill. Now, there's been a lot of controversy around Kathleen Kennedy's kind of tenure as the head of Lucasfilm, but she's recently been trying to kind of shift all the blame over to Bob Iger for some of these things. And what was interesting about the Rogue Squadron thing is that basically they said, oh, well, we're canceling it because Patty's too busy doing Wonder Woman 3. And then once Wonder Woman 3 didn't happen because James Gunn came in and kind of like put the kibosh on it, she was like, okay, I guess I'm ready to go back to Rogue Squadron. And then Lucasfilm was like, well, we don't have any money for Rogue Squadron anymore because Bob Iger hates everything Star Wars. But now the rumor is that they're going to take the script that they had for the Rogue Squadron movie and turn it into a quote unquote Band of Brothers style series, kind of in the vein of what I think Andor was. But with X-Wing pilots. And you know what's weird is I know Kathleen Kennedy likes to say like that there's no source material, but there was like a series of books all about Rogue Squadron that were very popular, very well written. But it doesn't seem to have anything to do with that. However, they could adapt some of those books and turn them into a TV show. But Mr. Butters, I know that you in particular love the Star Wars TV shows. What do you think about this?
So
move?
you were serious when we said we were talking about Star Wars?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean that's Kathleen Kennedy's way, right? We can't make a movie about it. Let's try to make a series. That's fine. But I have an idea of making Baba Black Sheep in space. That's what they should do.
Bob Black Sheep.
You know, if anybody remembers that show, it was actually a really good show. I loved that show back when I was a kid. But I can see it. I could see an interesting story about a squadron of X-Wing pilots. I mean, why wouldn't that be kind of fun and cool to do? It's not the show concept. It's the show. It's the people writing and making the show. That is the problem, right? I mean, it's a cool concept to me. I think it's a great idea. The problem is they don't know how to execute this stuff at Disney. That's the problem. So I don't know, man.
Well, Brian, you know what's interesting is that for a long time, Star Wars went on hiatus with like their movies. And so like they were pumping out these TV shows like The Mandalorian and a bunch of other stuff. And now the opposite has kind of happened where they're gearing up to start making more movies. And now it's kind of light on the TV front. Like they only have, I think, like 2 series in the pipeline right now. What do you think about the idea of turning Rogue Squadron into a full-blown TV show as opposed to just a 2-hour movie?
I mean, yeah, so they can stretch 2 hours out to 7.5 hours over 8 episodes, which means that at least 3 of the 8 episodes will just be boring fill-in slop from extra footage they happen to have. Yeah, sounds great.
What's weird to me, I'm sorry, Matt, but what's weird to me is I don't know where things are going over there in Disney, because they take a TV series and they're making it a movie with this Mandalorian and Grogu shit, because that's basically supposed to be the next season of The Mandalorian that they've turned into a movie. And now they're doing the opposite, where they're taking a movie and turning it into TV episodes. So what's going on? Tom has.
I know the answer.
Okay.
The answer is Bob Iger wants Grogu and Mando. Bob Iger doesn't want the Rogue Squadron.
Okay, makes sense.
And Kathleen Kennedy can greenlight shows all day long. TV shows, tons of them. She can make 50 of them if she wants to. But when it comes to the movies, she's got to go through the distribution side of things, which means Bob Iger goes, no, we're not doing that.
All right, that makes sense.
And that's what she's trying to throw Bob Iger under the bus for, which I'm not trying to stick up for Bob Iger in this equation, but he's at least got the smarts to say the only thing we got right now in Star Wars that's worth a shit is Mandalorian. Let's do a movie of that. And that's the only thing we've gotten out of him. I mean, in the fact that we've only gotten, this is the first movie, a Star Wars movie in what, 5 years? 4 years, whatever it was, 5 years now almost?
Since Solo, yeah.
No, since
since Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Palpatine, exactly. So, I mean, at this point, this just goes to prove what we were reporting, and that is that the Kathleen Kennedy cannot greenlight a movie. She has to go through Bob Iger. So, on that note, that's all I'm hearing and seeing here is this is the situation, and they don't think that it was going to make enough of a splash to be a movie, especially after Wonder Woman 2 flopped the way it did. Because notice that's Kathy's other MO, is picking up these hot directors just before they do a flop. And then as soon as they do a flop, then they're like, oh, well, we're not going to make that Star Wars movie anymore. Because I've made the joke several times over, and it's truly become even beyond true, where she's fired more directors than she's hired. Because at this point, there's been so many announced Star Wars projects that have never come to fruition. I mean, all the way back to James Mangold's Boba Fett movie that he wants to pretend never existed, right? Like, this goes all that way back. So we're talking, a decade's worth of projects now that have never happened. And it's just insane. So at this point, I don't give a shit. I know you guys don't give a shit, but that's why this is happening this way, because she can make it a TV show and she wants to be in the Patty Jenkins business, and Patty Jenkins needs to eat, right? Wonder Woman 3 ain't happening for her. So let's be real on this point. This is what her paycheck is now.
Yeah. Has she made a movie since Wonder Woman 2?
If she has, it's been so low level, I'm not even aware of it.
Now, Tom, was it you guys at Midnight's Edge that did the reporting about how Kathleen Kennedy basically announced a bunch of these Star Wars movies, like the Rey movie and the Rise of the Jedi and stuff like that, just kind of like last minute behind Bob Iger's back?
That was the rumor. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what I was getting at, is she can do this, but she has to go through him, and she makes these announcements in the public, or they leak to the public, so that it's probably harder for Bob to say, well, no, we're not doing that. So that's probably, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that hasn't seemed to stop him at all. Because we haven't heard anything about the Rey movie. We haven't heard anything about the Rise of the Jedi or whatever James Mangold's working on right now.
They're in the same folder as what's his face, the dude from the Marvel universe. We're never gonna get Kang.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Jonathan Majors.
Just forget about that.
Yeah, like they're just memory holing these movies.
Kang
Ryan Johnson's trilogy. Simon Kinberg is supposedly working on a trilogy as well, but he's such an awful writer. I can't imagine him coming up with anything good. Seems like the only thing that's actually happening is the Mandalorian movie and the Starfighter movie with Sean Levy.
Because that's actually filming, and we've seen pictures and stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't believe it either. I'd be like, that ain't gonna happen. But I actually saw this still, and I'm like, oh, I guess they're actually shooting that. So,
yeah, and it's kind of weird because that's about Starfighter, unless like one of the characters' last name is Starfighter. I wouldn't put it past them. But then you have Rogue Squadron, which is about X-Wing starfighters. But I'm going to throw this to Odin, because Odin, the last time that they took a movie script and turned it into a TV series, it was Obi-Wan. And we all saw how that turned out. So what do you think about it?
It went Obi wrong, am I right?
So what do you think about turning the Rogue Squadron into a TV show?
I mean, at this point, I'll believe it when I see it for anything, like whether it's a movie, whether it's a show. I think at this point, they're just grasping at straws. They are trying to figure out their next move, realizing how much money they've spent and wasted on all of these projects that they put forward. And they have to keep investors somewhat piqued. They have to keep maybe some actors or some creators on the hook a little bit, right? To try to be like, oh, we're still serious about this. Like, so don't go off doing anything too crazy. My guess is that's kind of where they're coming from, rather than them having an actual plan. Because I think that they soon realized after the Rise of Skywalker came out, even before anything else, just how wrong and how off the mark they had been, right? Especially now that we know how much they actually spent on films like Rise of Skywalker, and therefore how much hundreds of millions of dollars they lost on that movie alone, not to mention all of the Disney Plus shows, which have all basically just been losses at this point, because no one's joining the platform just to be able to watch those shows, and they're oftentimes more likely losing more people than anything else because of those shows. So
has
it's
Star Wars made money yet since they bought it?
I think the last I checked, and again, I haven't run the numbers in a while, but the last I had checked, they had not yet made.
They're still in the
net
black.
profit. Yeah, back.
Wow.
And obviously, the most recent films definitely put a dent in that. And the hard thing is with the shows, it's very hard to quantify how much of a loss those shows actually are for them, just because, with movies, you at least got box office ticket sales and you've got like publicly available data. For some of the shows, you have budgets, not all of them, but for some of them, you at least have budgets. And then you, of course, have the streaming numbers. But again, whether that equates to new subscribers, kept subscribers, or anything like that's something that they might have access to, but none of the streamers will ever let you know any information about that.
Well, and another thing we don't know is the merchandising, right? Like at first, I'm sure they made a truckload of money off of merchandising, but as it tapered off, that's the big question: how much was spent on the films, things like the parks, the TV shows, which, like you just said, they're fugazi. You don't know what they're really making because what does it equate to? A few subscriptions? How do you work that into a dollar structure? Yeah, I don't think they've ever. They're a ways off from making their $4.505 billion back yet.
And that's why I really want them. I would love for someone with some gusto to go in and really just audit them, because I would love just to know what the real numbers are, especially when you account for the fact that they pay themselves and record those as like net gains or profits when they pay themselves to put it onto their own streamer. I think that, fiduciary responsibility would definitely be called into question as far as how they're handling that crap.
Gotta love the creative Hollywood accounting. You know what I've been seeing a lot on X though is that you have all these people who are out there defending Kathleen Kennedy when they were talking about how like Bob Iger was like secretly behind the destruction of the Star Wars IP. And they're like, Rogue Squadron, this is just more proof that Bob Iger was the villain behind this, and Kathleen Kennedy is brilliant and a wonderful producer, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nice try, guys. Nice astroturfing. Doesn't seem to really be working out for them very well. But Kathleen Kennedy is definitely like on the rehabilitation tour before she steps down. Tom, do you think she's actually going to retire at the end of the year? Bueller.
Sorry, was that a question for me? What was that?
Yes. When I say Tom, I'm usually referring to you.
I didn't hear the question.
Do you think Kathleen Kennedy is actually going to retire at the end of the year like she's been saying?
Don't you know that David Ellison is going to fire her, James Gunn, and Zaslav?
Well, in
take them all out.
In that case, I really hope he
No, I think she's going to leave when Bob Iger leaves. Maybe she'll stick around just a little bit longer to feel like she won something, like some consolation prize. But at this point, who fucking cares? The time to even it would have mattered for her to leave would have been 5-10 years ago, and it doesn't matter now. The damage is done. I'm going to be surprised if Mando and Grogu makes any money.
Yeah, me too.
At this point, Kathleen Kennedy leaving wouldn't. I don't think anybody will notice. I don't think anything will change because you got Dave Filoni in charge there. Favreau's pretty much gone. I mean, what's left?
Pablo Hidalgo.
He's always there.
He's always there.
Never going anywhere. Yeah. But what I'm excited about if they actually do a Rogue Squadron TV show is all the cameo appearances by Jack Black and Lizzo. I think will be like truly epic. All right, guys, real quick, we got a $2 super chat from our friend Paulie at Latino Slant. He says,
Fine.
Shut up, Tom. Shut up for $2.
Can't say anything else.
All right. Then we got Captain JPS for $2. So, guys, we're doing a poll right now in the chat to kind of figure out what we're going to call our community. And Captain JPS says, why not Salty Nerds? Simple and spot on. Well, we want a special name just for our community. So that's
Saltards.
why.
No.
Saltards.
100% Saltards.
Saltards.
Well, we're doing kind of like a bracket type thing. And so this week, last week, the winner was Salt Miners.
Yes.
This week we have the Salt Squad, Nerd Nation, the Nerd Herd, and Salty Savages. So we're going to
Nerd Herd is trademarked. So,
one. Well, we got the money to fight them in court with all these $2 super chats. Funny and Dark for $1.99. Brian, I sent you a tweet of AI Star Wars Ewoks.
I'll check it out, man.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I'm kind of excited about this because, first of all, they've been talking about doing a Call of Duty movie for a very long time. But now, over at Paramount, Taylor Sheridan has been confirmed to be sticking on board with the movie, in addition to Peter Berg directing it. And if you guys want to read these articles, everything's linked in the description. But what makes this interesting is that basically Sheridan has cut ties with Paramount after the new ownership has come in. He's signed a big deal over at NBC Universal. But he's sticking around just for the Call of Duty movie.
Well, actually, that deal goes, he doesn't leave until 2029.
Yeah, but basically, he's no longer in charge of the TV stuff over there. And we'll get into that in a bit when I throw this to you, Tom. But Dutch Butters, Call of Duty, it's one of the most popular video game
Yeah.
franchises on the planet. They've been talking about doing a movie version of it for years, and it looks like it's finally happening. What's your thoughts on Taylor Sheridan being the creative brains behind this movie?
I'm not a Call of Duty guy, so I've never really gone into that world. In fact, I started the gaming channel long after the Call of Duty craze started, so I never really felt compelled to get into it because I don't like to be, last in on anything. But I know it's an extremely popular video game, and I'm sure that the numbers are out there to support a project like this. And Taylor Sheridan's a super popular creator. He makes entertaining television shows. Most of the shows that I have liked over the last few years have been created and written by Taylor Sheridan. So I mean, I don't see how this could really be a loser. I think it'll at least make them a little bit of money. So yeah, I mean, why not make it a thing? People like their video game movies, and I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
Brian, video game movies used to have a kind of stigma and a curse attached to them where Hollywood just didn't know how to make video game movies or movies based on video games. But it seems like that trend has been slowly changing with like the success of Minecraft and a couple other video game adaptations. But this is going to be like the first one that we've seen from like a hardcore first person shooter. Well, I guess Doom, if you want to count that one. But
they had that moment. They had that BFG moment where they actually show the first. That was a cool moment. To be, I
really hope they have a scene in this movie of these Ritalin infused spazzy kids jumping out of windows and doing backflips around buildings and one shotting people without any sense of
the pride flag skins and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Beavis and Butthead and stuff. Yeah,
but Brian, so with Taylor Sheridan and Peter Berg, they've worked together before on some like award-winning films, or at least award-nominated. What do you think are the possibilities that this could be a successful adaptation?
Well, Sheridan's super talented, but his MO has been to pick the actor and then write the story. So this is outside of his wheelhouse, technically. So what has he done for every one of his successful shows? He goes, I'm going to find an actor, and I'm going to go talk to that actor, and we're going to write something for this actor. So it ends up being where the show is perfect for the main character because the main character had some input on it, and he wrote it for that person in mind. Had Stallone not signed up to be Tulsa King, I don't think we would have Tulsa King. It'd be another show with another actor that Sheridan respected. This is where he's picking the subject matter before he picks his actors, and that's different for him. It's way different. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying it's a different process. His normal process is pick this actor, talk to this actor, and work out a character that fits this actor perfectly. And that's just not what he's doing with this.
He's gonna get Dr. Disrespect to star in his movie.
Doesn't mean it can't be cool. Another thing is, the biggest problem with the first-person shooter thing is, so the best thing about game movies lately is that they are focusing on what makes the game special, so that people that love the game give it great reviews, and that word of mouth gets to other people. And even if people don't understand the references and all that, they still enjoy the movie because it gets some marketability. If they make this a serious film, it's not gonna work. It needs to have some seriousness to it for sure, but it can't be all serious because no game is all serious. And the people that are gonna glaze this movie are not gonna want a hyper dramatic talk fest. They're gonna want what they want when they play Call of Duty. And movies like Doom should have been more successful had the people that made the movie understood the people that played the games. That moment that most people say is sort of cool, where he has that first person shooter moment where they show that perspective. Even that perspective was wrong. So when you play video games, that camera is actually at chest level, and that's why you see the whole gun. Well, they shot it where you would think it would be, at eye level, and it didn't work. And it looked sort of right, but it wasn't 100%. And so even the coolest moment in that in these other first person movies don't really land. Either they're too dramatic or they're just not shot in a way that makes you remember the game. So if they actually do this in a way that has dramatic moments, has serious moments, but is also as fun as what you get when you play the game, then fans will glaze it. The word of mouth will hit, and then multiple people will go watch it, and it'll be successful. I think they need to make it in a way that has both the fun of the game and the seriousness of the game in one. And I'm not sure if Sheridan's the guy to do that. I respect him, but everything about this is saying, oh, we were getting this guy because he has such a great track record and he has a strong name recognition right now, and not because he's the right guy for the job.
Well, I want to throw this to Tom because Tom, like, there's some interesting kind of behind the scenes politicking going on here, particularly because, Taylor Sheridan has officially, I guess, like put in his notice with Paramount, and he's basically been the one who's been responsible for like their kind of like resurgence in TV with like all of his shows and stuff like that. And under the new kind of like Paramount ownership from Skydance and Brian Ellison and stuff like that, this article, which is linked in the description, talks about how Brian Ellison and like his team like went out to Texas, met with Sheridan personally, had like a nice little exchange, but then like never made him an offer. And also there are these rumors that Brian Ellison was threatened by Sheridan's kind of position at Paramount because basically the old guard had given him free reign over the TV, and he was like the de facto head of like TV production over at Paramount and CBS. But he didn't have any of the accountability, and Brian Ellison wants to come in and kind of like take the reins back from him. So he wasn't, convinced to like, try to keep him on board. What have you heard about, this relationship between Sheridan and Paramount, and do you have any insights into?
Well, okay. First of all, I do know that there was a guy that left after the sale. That's part of the reason why Sheridan's going to Universal. So I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like one of his partners over at Paramount that was exited. I don't know if he was fired or left over the whole thing. I'm sure he was somebody who was redundant or something like that. Or maybe it has to do with what you were talking about, Matt, is that this guy was helping, Sheridan with the day-to-day stuff on the TV side of things. And they said, adios, mi amigo. And he's just like, yeah, F this, I'm out. Because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like Sheridan's going to do out the rest of his contract. And then when his contract's over, he's going to leave. What's funny about when his contract ends is I had talked to somebody who is in his camp, and they said Sheridan has had a 10-year plan for all these shows that he has on Paramount right now. So when that 10-year plan is up, that means he's got pretty much all his shows in the bag there. So that means he's going to move off of this stuff onto something else. What it is over at Universal, I don't know. Maybe he'll get back into movies again. This deal with Paramount making this movie, this is the smartest thing they've done in a while. This actually sounds like a win-win scenario, and I'm not even a fan of the game. I don't give a shit. But I know Peter Berg can direct the hell out of a movie, and we all know what Sheridan's capable of writing-wise. Like, if you've seen Hell or High Water, which is one of the movies they worked on together, it's an amazing fucking movie, right? So, I mean, Patriots Day is another one that Peter Berg has directed. I mean, he's done Hancock. Sure, he's done stuff like Battleship and stuff like that, but I mean, he's a seasoned director who knows this kind of material. I don't think we're going to get an overly woke. I think it's going to be very much what most of this. Now, every video game, you're going to get those fans that are just like, it's not representative of the game. But I think for the most part, the general audience will probably end up going, oh, that was a Call of Duty movie, right? So, like, yeah, I don't think it's a bad move. I think this is a very smart move. I think it'll make a decent film out of these two guys together. I don't see this as a lose scenario in any way at all.
Well, I see it like there's a lot of people out there that don't play video games that are huge Taylor Sheridan fans, like my wife, for example. So when I go to my wife in a year from now or whenever this comes out, and I go, hey, you want to go watch the new Call of Duty movie? And she goes, what's that? And I go, oh, it's a video game that we play shooters. And she's going to go, hell no, I don't want to go watch that stupid movie. But then I'm going to go, but it was written and created by Taylor Sheridan, the Yellowstone guy. And she's going to go, oh, really? That sounds really cool. Let's go.
That's why you say, hey, you want to go see the next Taylor Sheridan film?
Right, exactly.
Dutch
but what
right.
I'm just,
yes, because I'm the same way. Like, I could give a shit about Call of Duty, Now that you tell me you got the guy who directed Hancock and Taylor Sheridan involved, I'm on board. Right, like that's got me interested now.
He has
especially
some
Hell or
pull.
High Water. So yeah.
Well, Odin, you know what's interesting is, I guess, you know, being the son of like the second richest man in the world, Brian Ellison just doesn't give a fuck about spending money, and he spent like over $1 billion on the South Park guys, and you know, he's trying to buy Warner Brothers for 80 billion or something crazy like that. And a lot of people are saying, like, why didn't you just offer Taylor Sheridan $1 billion to like stick around and continue to do stuff? But
he must not be a fan of Sheridan. Maybe he's just buying the stuff he likes because I really like DC. Can we buy that?
Yeah, maybe. But you know, the economics of this are kind of interesting because it seems like, you know, it's more about power and control than it is about money. So I wanted to hear your take on the weird relationship between Paramount and Sheridan, and also the Call of Duty movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Sheridan's been pretty much the prime creator of all Paramount Plus content as far as anything that's been worthy talking about or worthy of any note. He's written shows that have gotten awards. Like, he's been able to, he's the kind of writer and creator that's been able to make shows that not only please like the critic class and the Hollywood elite class, where we're getting, you know, awards consideration, but it's also been able to please, to a much larger degree, the general audience and the people. And so when I found out that these two were put together on a film, again, I'm not going to be the one that's going to say, oh, I'm a Call of Duty guy, because I'm not, right? But as far as creative minds and as far as what they have done and the projects that they have worked on, immediately when I heard that casting, or immediately when I heard this, you know, these choices, I thought, oh, well, people need to remember Taylor Sheridan did Sicario. People need to remember, right, that he has the mind and the writing style to do these things. People need to remember that he's able to do really good, gritty content that could absolutely fit within, even from my just basic knowledge of Call of Duty, could totally fit that mindset. Peter Berg, of course, also has done things before that have also kind of fit that same tone, that same universe that likely would be built. So I think these two are a perfect combination to create a really cool film. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it was more, I'm not saying it's going to be like the Lord of the Rings of these kinds of movies, but like Lord of the Rings, in that even though people that are book fans still say, it's not necessarily a great adaptation, like it's not necessarily, it's leaving a lot of things out and everything, but it's a great film and I still love it. I think that's probably what this will be. Is it won't be like the Call of Duty film people who are fans of Call of Duty have been waiting for, but it will be a film that will be pleasing to both fans and non-fans alike. And I think ultimately that's kind of the best of both worlds that you can really have.
Well, I'd like to talk about this a little bit more, but you know, there are a couple other topics that I want to shift to, and the biggest one, you know, speaking of Paramount and Skydance and Ellison, is this notion that Warner Brothers is basically, you know, in the sights of a lot of different movie studios to be bought out. And recently, news broke that Netflix is actually looking at buying Warner Brothers. Now, not the full studio, like when David Ellison or Brian Ellison, I forget his name, sorry, was looking to acquire Warner Brothers. It was the entire company and all of its assets. But Netflix has basically said, like, hey, we don't want TV stations, we don't want all this other stuff, but we want the IP. And so Netflix has officially hired like some law firms to start looking into what it would cost to basically, once Paramount, or once Warner Brothers kind of splits off into like two different companies, to basically raid one of the companies and get like their IP assets. Like, how much would those cost? Because Netflix wants to be able to do, like, I guess, Batman content or like whatever the case may be. So they are kind of like seriously looking at doing some type of merger and acquisition offer with Warner Brothers to kind of like get some assets off of that. But what was also interesting is there was this article in the Hollywood Reporter where David Zaslav was being honored for his support of Judaism and you know, fight against anti-Semitism and stuff like that. So there were a lot of high-powered like Jewish people that got together to give him an award. And in this article, what was kind of interesting to me is, like, first of all the power players from Hollywood were at this event, and they were all having like these like backroom deals and like low-level conversations about the acquisition of Warner Brothers. But the big thing is that when David Zaslav got up and accepted his award, he mentioned that Steven Spielberg has actually been like a very close advisor of his when it comes to, like, you know, staffing people at Warner Brothers and like, you know, navigating the entertainment industry and all this other stuff. So it seems like Steven Spielberg might have been behind suggesting James Gunn and, all these other people. But I want to throw this to Tom. Tom, what do you know about, Netflix's eyeing of Warner Brothers and Zaslav's entertaining all these other offers and stuff like that?
Okay, well, I'm not surprised, but it is surprising to see Netflix do this. But I'm sure Odin and a few others have noticed this, that before they were extremely resistant to being in the theater business, right? Like, or getting into the theatrical distribution business. Once in a while, they'd throw out one of their prestigious films to hopefully get some nominations, to get some accolades that way. But other than that, they could care less about the theater side of things. That wasn't until they started making some money, especially I think like this Demon Hunters thing changed their mind a little bit. I've said it before, when it comes to David Zaslav, he came onto my radar a little bit before he got involved with the whole Warner Brothers thing. Because when I was asking people, like my friends and family outside of the YouTube sphere, what streaming services they had, and at this time CBS All Access was still a thing. So it was like, what do you got? CBS All Access, Disney Plus, HBO Max, what? And they would all say, oh, we got Netflix, or we got Amazon Prime or Hulu. But then every one of them, the one thing that stuck out to me was they'd all say, oh, but we got to have Discovery Plus. Like, what do you mean you got to have Discovery Plus? Like, oh, we got to have it. The wife will be so pissed if we miss 90 Day Fiancé. That was the consistent thing I kept hearing. So I went and looked into Discovery Plus and who was behind all this stuff, and it's David Zaslav, right? One of the most hated guys in Hollywood, because he revolutionized basically, cheap ass TV with reality television and stuff like that. And I said, well, this is obviously the app to watch, or this is the streamer to watch, because this one might, actually survive the streaming war without anybody paying attention to it. Little did I know that they were going to bring him into Warner Brothers. So they brought him into Warner Brothers. And another thing that I've been saying for years is why Mike DeLuca hasn't been the head of Warner Brothers. And now he finally is. And so all these things have finally come together at once, and David Ellison wants Warner Brothers. So there's this whole idea in the media and all these other people that are, especially Snyder Bros, that are trying to paint this doom and gloom over Warner Brothers, when it's like, no, David Ellison wants Warner Brothers because they are the number one kid on the block right now. He wants to be the number one kid on the block right now. That's what he wants. So he wants to have all these things that they have. And that's where Warner Brothers is a big, huge deal right now, because they're the only company that's kind of really making money. Zaslav has cut their debt in nearly half, I think it is at this point.
Yeah, big deal.
And even the missteps that Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca have made, you can kind of forgive most of those. Like, Furiosa is one of the only ones I can really go, you were stupid to do that. And the deal with Leonardo DiCaprio, it wasn't so much making that movie, it was the deal they made with DiCaprio. Otherwise, any other producer in Hollywood would have made Joker 2 and some of the other decisions that they had made already. So that, on that plate, like, I can see why Netflix is looking at them going, if we're going to get into the theatrical distribution game, this is the studio we want. And I've said this for a while. When Apple or Netflix decide to get in on this game, they're not going to go after some little smaller studio like Lionsgate. They're going to go after one of the big boys. So they're going to go after Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers has the biggest catalog, the most IPs. I mean, this is where it's at if somebody's going to buy it. And this is why I said it's too big for Ellison's britches. I mean, there's no way that the regulatory system, even if Warner Brothers still is a Canadian company, Ellison wants it lock, stock, and barrel. All these other companies are kind of looking at it going, we just want the IPs. We just want this. We just want that catalog. Like, Netflix isn't interested in this bit and that part of it. And that's where, Zaslav splitting the company up makes more sense. This is one of the few times I can say that. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't want it to be sold. And they're not even sure they're going to sell it yet. See, that's the funny thing about it is Zaslav, as far as I can tell, is just kicking back, drinking wine, going, yeah, let's watch the stock price go up some more. We're going to split the company up anyway.
It's going up.
Yeah.
It's over double what it was last year. So, you're totally right, Tom. One thing about David Ellison, though, is I think it's really funny. He's sort of like that really rich kid that starts playing video games with his friends in high school. And he's not very good at it, but he can buy all the cool skins and best guns and stuff, Or maybe, or the Magic, or playing Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or whatever. All the, card games, and he buys all the best sets.
He's basically Cartman. He has all the best stuff. And if you don't play his way, he's going to say, excuse you guys, I'm taking my stubbing and going home.
Yeah. He's like, look at my special golden foil trap card. You're like, bro, you bought that. You didn't. It wasn't skill, But you know what? It's fine. I get it.
It's got 15 copies of The Death of Superman on box and board, card and board. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with what Tom is saying. Is totally right. And Zaslav is the most hated guy in Hollywood, but somehow he's been also the most successful the last couple of years, which is wild. And I'm stoked because I keep buying into the dip, and I'm actually making money on WBD, so I'll take it.
Gotta make it for that Disney stuff, man.
I gotta make up for it somehow.
I mean, Brian, you are the biggest Warner Brothers shareholder on the panel. So what would be your take about like Warner Brothers potentially kind of like piecemealing out their IP to other studios like Netflix?
Well, as an investor, if they split up the company, then it's good for me. Stock split means double the shares, and even if even when they get cut in half, they're gonna fight back to try to get close to where they were before, which means you can sell you can sell on that bump and make some dough. But when it comes to being a fan of Warner Brothers, I wish they would just stay intact and be one of the last great studios left from the golden era of Hollywood. It bums me out that they're trying to be sold, or the people are trying to buy them. And I gotta say, the one company I don't want to purchase them would be Netflix. I don't want Netflix anywhere near Warner Brothers. I hate that Netflix makes like 2 seasons of a TV show and then just stops.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is because it's not profitable to continue a TV show no matter how well received it is. It's not profitable because once they've captured that subscriber, they don't need to do more. So maybe 2-3 seasons tops of something before they just cut it off. Because once they get to the 4 seasons, they gotta spend more money on the cast, more money on the creators. It gets more expensive. Classic network television, the more expensive problem wouldn't be an issue because you're getting more eyes on it, which means more advertising dollars. Netflix doesn't have advertising dollars, therefore it makes no sense for them to continue stories. So it makes the best thing for them would be to get a bunch of people to subscribe to Netflix, and then once they're subscribed, move on to the next thing. All they care about doing is maintaining and growing their subscription base and not actually making good content, because their content is not what makes them money. It's their subscription that makes them money. And that's the problem with, I guess, all streaming platforms, is that because it's not ad supported, there's no financial incentive to continue making cool stuff. There's more incentive to make crap that people will subscribe to.
I know like a while back I read about like Netflix kind of like evaluates their series based off of like view numbers, right? So like they're like, if we get X amount of watch hours out of a series, there's a diminishing return past that if we're like continuing to spend money, because the
Right.
deeper a series goes, the harder it is to bring in like, new viewers to that series. So by the end of season 2, they've already kind of shot their load in terms of like audience adoption of the show. And so they're like, okay, we hit like 200 billion watch hours for like these first 2 seasons. We're not going to do much better than that. So we're going to allocate our funds elsewhere for production.
Also,
So-
it gets more expensive, especially for a recurring cast. You have to pay people a lot more for that 3rd or 4th
Yeah.
season just to get them to come back.
But ironically, like, like they'll give The Witcher 5 seasons, even though they replace their leading man and like stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Or how about Stranger Things? These kids
God,
are now
yeah.
like in their 30s.
Yeah,
with
they're like
their own
40 years
kids.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, 30 and 40 years old, and they're gonna go back to riding their bikes through the woods. I don't know. I mean, sometimes they have these like passion or these things that they really like that they go whole hog on. But look at stuff like Jupiter's Legacy, or Lost in Space. They had a huge fan base, massive numbers on communities outside of.
Jupiter's
Well, I
Legacy.
mean, but both those shows sucked. Like it was
What
really
is,
bad.
I
what
mean,
is
but-
Jupiter's Legacy? Is that
but
the
you
one?
can-
It was kind of like The Boys before like The Boys kind of hit.
Before the
I
boys
thought it was
were the boys.
I thought it was Mila Kunis and Air Skater.
No, you're thinking of Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. I
Jupiter's
love that
Legacy was like the boys before the boys.
Oh.
No, I mean, you can say subjectively something was good or bad. I would argue that after season 1, Stranger Things pretty much died for me. I would argue that stuff like The Witcher was horrible after season 1, but they keep it going. So they don't get, I think some of the stuff is involved, and some of the stuff that they continue, that they get special treatment is because, certain people at Netflix just happens to like it or something. Or maybe there's some kind of like, ESG, score thing going on with them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like if you look at a show like Marco Polo, which only lasted 2 seasons, like that show was epic. That was a really good show.
Great show.
But they were like, oh, it's too expensive, so we're just gonna not do it anymore. But then like you got like a shit show like The Witcher, and even though The Witcher are very popular books and a lot of Netflix's businesses overseas, Lauren Hitchrich just ran that sucker into the ground. Really, really bad.
Yeah, really bad. Oh, let's fire the guy that really, really likes this content, that is steeped in the lore, that loves The Witcher so much that in between takes, he goes to his trailer to play The Witcher. Let's fire that guy and hire someone that will put more women on the screen.
And it is kind of funny to see like all the articles coming out about Liam Hemsworth and like trying to like gaslight everyone into saying like, oh, he's different and better than Henry Cavill was as Geralt.
Yeah, disagree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it was
That's out
bad.
now, right? The new Witcher season.
Yeah, it just came out. And
no one cares.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was out yet. So
yeah, they gave Ciri of course black lesbian love interest.
Sweet.
Who basically she's introduced by saving her from a sexual assault, and then she sexually assaults her.
So
like
stupid.
immediately.
So stupid.
And she's got the Killmonger haircut, which was very fashionable back in medieval times, I guess.
So
the
stupid.
Killmonger
What is
haircut.
that? I don't even know what that is. Hold on, I got look it up.
But Odin, I want to get your take on like this whole thing about Netflix possibly cannibalizing Warner Brothers, and also how would it affect the industry if Warner Brothers actually got sold off?
I mean, if it got sold off, I don't think it would change, like, just in general, the concept of it being sold off. I don't think in and of itself is too big of a deal, because we've just now, at this point, it's kind of, we're used to it with some of the major acquisitions, especially with Disney, right, with the 20th Century Studios. So there's precedent, meaning that it's just, I don't think it would be as big of a deal necessarily. If a company like Netflix were to buy it, that I think would shake things up quite a bit, because at that point, as Tom was alluding to earlier before he had to go, was how that would be Netflix entering into a space that they had previously not been a part of. And it would basically kind of, I think, put a lot of other studios on notice, because they clearly see how Netflix has been dominating the streaming space in every single way. And so for a company like that, with the amount of money that it has behind it, to now be more formally involved in movie distribution, theatrical distribution in that capacity, I think they would have a lot to be scared of, especially with all of the IPs that they would now have ownership of and access to. So obviously Netflix is a hit or miss company in general when it comes to their content. And that would be, I think, one of the only things that would, probably give anyone pause, because on Netflix, on their platform, they can afford to have hit and miss shows, right? They can afford to have the really bad shows that don't really do much of anything, because they have enough other shows on there that do really, really well. When it comes to movie making and distribution, and relying specifically on your on your profits that you're making from your theater, right? You can only do so much. You can only lose so much money before eventually that starts to kind of eat away at you. So, obviously they would have some money to hold off on, or at least some money to prop them up a little bit. This is what we've seen with Disney, for instance, right? They've had flop after flop after flop, like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of losses, but they're still able to stay afloat because they've got all of those other revenue streams that are also still coming in. But it does come to a point where eventually they do have to make a change, right? You can't just do that infinitely. And so I think it would shake up the industry quite a bit. I think it'd make a lot of studios quite scared, actually, if Netflix were the company, or if it was like an Apple that were to get involved. Apple's already massive in different ways too. So it'd be interesting to say the very least. And honestly, based off of where Warner Brothers is currently trending, I kind of would like to see a bit of a change for a wide variety of reasons.
Well, what's interesting, I want to get Odin and Brian's take on this. And I think people at Paramount have come out and said this, that the big get, and one of the big reasons why they're targeting Warner Brothers, is that if they were to take their Paramount Plus, Showtime, and HBO and merge them into like this super streamer, like they could conceivably compete with Netflix because they'd have like House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, like all like the big HBO IPs. They'd have Warner Brothers like superhero IPs. They'd have all of Paramount's library. They'd have all of Showtime's library, all under one umbrella, essentially. And basically, like at that point, you've got a huge part of the market share. But in addition to that, you also have TV stations and theatrical distribution and stuff like that could actually like push people more to the streaming end and actually make it potentially profitable. So I wanted to get your guys' take on that. Do you think that the potential of this merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers could radically shake up the streaming industry?
Yes. I mean, I don't have a better answer for that, but yes.
I mean,
Why
like
not?
Showtime and HBO under one umbrella?
That would be
I
really
mean,
interesting.
I think that it would make a huge difference if it literally consolidates it also streaming service wise. And I think I mentioned this last week because this I think came up last week at 1.2, where basically there's just so many choices, there's so many services out there, and I think it's just driving a lot of consumers insane. So the more you consolidate that, I think the better that it is, because then it's like I don't need a separate app for this, or I don't need a separate app for that. Now it's just all under the one roof, and now there's a channel on that same streaming service that has the Showtime content, that has the Paramount Plus content. Like, I think you could even keep those names there too. It's just, instead of having it be a separate app, it's just now all in-house.
Odin, I have an idea. Ready?
Yeah, what you got?
So what if there was one place that you can go to get all your different channels, right? And maybe they sold a box, and that box you can rent like per month. And you can buy the services per month, but you don't have to go anywhere else. You could just go to that one service with that cheap monthly box and watch your different channels. Like we were in 1998 again.
Yeah, a cable.
No, so we're going back to cable, but
Yeah.
now the new content. Okay, cool. Got it.
Yep. With commercials and everything, right?
Even if you're paying for it.
Yeah, there's going to be an ad-supported tier, but the ad-supported tier is not good for all channels. The premium channels don't have ads, but we're going to go right back to cable. This is just another version of cable, dude. We're going back.
But we're already there. Except
Yeah, I think
we're paying for cable and for all the streaming services at the same time. It's ridiculous.
And I think I told you guys last week, Disney is upping their yearly cost for D+, ESPN, and Hulu to $200 a year, which is probably the most expensive of like all like the cable packages, or I should say streaming packages out there. Mr. Butters, I know that you check out when we start talking about business and industry stuff.
Yeah,
Is there
I'm talking to my wife right now on my phone. So
anything you wanted to add to the conversation before?
No,
we
not a
move
thing.
on?
Not a thing. Businesses go back and forth. People buy shit. It's fine. Whatever. Just keep me entertained. I don't really care who owns what. If they want to buy things and trade them around like Pokemon cards, then fine. Because that's what I feel these billionaires do. They buy things and just sell them back and forth to each other. So
Well, then let's talk about your next favorite subject, which is of course Doctor Who, and how
yay.
it was recently announced that Disney, who had been co-financing the Nukti Gatwa, or however you pronounce his name,
Shooty.
Shitty Gatwa, Shitty Walk, yeah. How basically like they said that, okay, we gave it 2 seasons, we're not seeing any type of return or excitement or anything around this, so we're just going to stop doing it. And basically Disney has pulled their funding. Shitty Gatwa has basically like checked out of the role. Russell T Davies is still suffering from massive DEI syndrome and trying to like wokeify like the Doctor, even though people say Doctor Who was always woke. It's like, no, I mean like there's woke and then there's woke, right? And Doctor Who, like, yeah, it was the same thing with Star Trek, where they explored like different themes and stuff like that. But like under new management, ever since Chinball, I'd say like Doctor Who has been like 100% like not Doctor Who, has been about the message. But Matt, famously, when we were doing our membership content for the Salty Nerd podcast, I was like, hey, let's watch Doctor Who. You guys had never watched it before. So we started with the David Tennant reign of Doctor Who. And surprisingly, you did not like Doctor Who all that much.
Never have.
But it's one of the UK's like most beloved science fiction series. And there's a lot of fans here in America. but it's just been run into the ground. And Disney, if we look at the article, there was like 3 big reasons as to why they decided to pull out. One was just the cost, like they weren't really getting the traction on Disney Plus that they were hoping for with this stuff. The other is basically saying that in Trump's America, diversity and inclusion is just not a winning combination, and so it was too diverse for Disney, who is trying to of course please the Trump administration by replatforming Jimmy Kimmel and like all this other stuff. I think the third one was basically just that people, like fans, have been alienated by the show. So what's your take on this? Do you think Doctor Who is basically dead in the water like Star Trek and Star Wars, or is there hope for it?
Well, I don't think anybody really cares about Doctor Who over here, to be honest with you. It's a British show. I know it has its fans, but it's not nearly as many as people think there are. I mean, I didn't watch Doctor Who except for more than maybe a couple episodes up until the point we did our thing, when that was only 4 episodes ever, and it just never really was my thing. I've watched my share of British sci-fi, but I like the stuff like Red Dwarf. That was more my thing. Stuff that we found on PBS on accident when I was younger. That's the kind of stuff, like Doctor Who. But for some reason, Doctor Who never resonated with me, and I've just never been into it. And now that when Disney bought it, and it just got, I mean, it was already there, I think, but it just got super woke and super gay and super. They were really hammering on that, on these really progressive, silly topic points. No wonder nobody wants to watch that crap. They're too progressive for Disney, right? Isn't that what people are saying? And if you're too progressive for Disney, brother, you got problems, because that's crazy. That's just a crazy thing. And I think the show's been around too long. What is it, 60 years or something like that? 50, 60 years. And they might need to set it aside. Let it simmer and ferment for a decade or something, then bring it back. Maybe. I don't know.
They did that before.
One of the interesting things about Doctor Who is the whole regeneration thing. So they can basically reboot the series with a new doctor.
Right.
And I misspoke earlier. Like the third biggest issue was just Shitty Gatwa, who basically he didn't want to play the role anymore. He wasn't a good brand ambassador like Matt Smith or David Tennant was. And because of his lack of commitment to the role, like that was another big reason why Disney was like, we don't think this is a winner. But Brian, your co-host John Yulden on the Brain Show, like he's in the UK. We've had conversations with him about the state of Doctor Who and how bad it's gotten, and it's just been like a steady, like in this article on Deadline, they talk about how I think with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, it went from like 5.3 million views per episode to something like 3.1 under Shitty Gatwa, and fans are just being constantly kind of like lectured to about like their political views. Russell T Davies keeps pushing this radical like woke agenda through the show. It's not really about science fiction anymore. It's about like trans rights and stuff like that, making the Doctor queer, and to the detriment of the story. Like if this stuff was just like kind of like introduced as a story element, it'd be one thing, but it becomes the story, and it becomes preachy, and it's annoying because it's not fun anymore. But fans have been slowly alienated by ever since Chinball and Jodie Whittaker, and kind of like we've ended up here where essentially I think Russell T Davies was quoting the fact that like the app for the BBC or something like that was getting a lot of views on Doctor Who, and he's like, see, like the young kids, the youths of the nation are really into Doctor Who because they're watching it through the app, but like it doesn't really reflect in any of the ratings, actual ratings. And Disney kind of clocked in on that. They're like, hey, we're not getting any benefit from this. So do you think that Disney pulling out is kind of like the beginning of the end for this run of Doctor Who?
I hope so, because this run of Doctor Who is really bad. I mean, it's almost parody. No, in fact, it is parody. It's it started for me with, I guess, the end of Capaldi started to get pretty woke, and then I just couldn't. I couldn't even watch the Girl Doctor, and I'm sure the Girl Doctor wasn't as bad as I probably think it is, but I couldn't get through it. And then they retcon the Doctor to be like a little girl,
a little black girl,
and so that's such a so stupid. Well, when they did that, I was like, okay, I'm 100% out. I'm out. But I got sucked back into the Christmas special because David Tennant was in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like David Tennant. So I watched it and was so perturbed by what's his name? Nudie Gatwall or whatever.
Shitty Gatwa.
Shooty.
Like Shooter McGavin, but Shooty Gatwa.
Shooty Gatwa. I was so perturbed by Shooty Gatwa. He literally regenerated from Tennant's penis, and it made I'm not joking, and it made a second Doctor.
It was a bi-generation.
Oh my God.
The first ever quote unquote bi-generation. And I know why they did that. They didn't want to lose Tennant because they knew that they were going down a pretty bad path.
Well, they were also getting ready to do a spinoff.
What was the spinoff?
It's something like the battle between the land and the sea, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's still a go, but they basically wanted to save Tennant for that spinoff.
Well, whatever it was, he bi-regenerated from David Tennant's penis, and then proceeded to be the most ridiculous, flamboyant character I've ever seen in any TV show ever. I've seen fully homosexuals, like full on flaming homosexuals in movies that weren't as flaming or flamboyant as his character was. And the worst part about it was when he took the hammer and he smacked the TARDIS to make a second TARDIS, which was stupid. And they had like the ramp for the disabled people. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just so dumb. There's no way. I was like, I'm done. I'm completely done with Doctor Who. I can't do this anymore. So I haven't watched a single episode since then. I don't ever plan to. Although they'll get me if Tennant comes into comes with a spinoff, I'll probably give it a go. I like Tennant, so.
Well, the rumor is that when Ncuti Gatwa left the show, he regenerated into Billie Piper's Rose, who was David Tennant's first companion. Very famously, she's one of the most beloved companions in the show. And so what they're saying is that basically that's going to be an inroad into bringing the Tennant version back as the Doctor, because he has to kind of like rehook up with like this version of his companion, even though it's not the real Rose. So they kind of left it a little bit open-ended at the end of that. But I feel like Doctor Who is just like in a really terrible place. Like it's just been run into the ground, worse than probably Star Trek and Star Wars. But it doesn't get as much attention because like Dutch said, it's a UK based type thing. But I want to ask Odin about the economics of this, because Disney likes to spend money. They obviously don't really care about profits, just based off of the money that they've spent on Star Wars and stuff like that. So what do you think is the reason behind this? Is it really about the economics, or is it just that they're worried about the political temperature of Trump's America and they don't want to be seen as supporting this type of thing?
I don't think they care a dang about the political side of it, because like the first administration, they were very actively against it. Again, a big part of the downfall of Disney came because of what was going on between them and Ron DeSantis in Florida back when Lightyear was about to come out and the whole Don't Say Gay bill nonsense was going on, right? So they've always been at the forefront of that. It definitely seems like they've calmed down a little bit, but at the end of the day, I just do not really think that it's still the same people at the top. It's still the same activist mentality that is there, and I think that's going to be very difficult for them to actually get rid of as long as those same people are at the top of the food chain. So honestly, based off of everything that we're seeing and based on everything that we know, because we already know how terrible the ratings were for Doctor Who the last several years, right? The last several iterations, it's kept going down, and no matter what positive praise they've gotten from critics who've been trying to prop this show up, it just hasn't changed that very fact that people have been checking out of the show for a very long time. I always like to bring up, my wife, because she is very different than I am politically in certain ways, right? We obviously agree on some very key issues, but we're also very different in certain ways as well. So for her, like, she didn't really care all that much, right? When Jodie Whittaker was cast as the Doctor, right? For her, a female Doctor wasn't that big of a deal, right? However, she also really did not really show much care in actually watching it or following along with it. And I don't think she's seen any of the Ncuti Gatwa stuff. So she even gave up on it, right? Because the show was suffering. So it wasn't because of, the decisions they made, but because looking at it from even her lens of an outside, more objective lens, I guess, on this specific issue, the show was so bad that even she had to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of not interested in it anymore. I kind of just don't even care anymore. And so I think that says quite a bit. So yeah, it's absolutely because this thing was not making them any money. It wasn't bringing any eyeballs to their service. And hopefully this is a wake-up call, and hopefully we can get some good. I think it's been said before, they should take maybe a 5-year hiatus, an actual hiatus, and be like, all right, let's actually plan this thing out for the future. Let's get our eyes onto the person that will be the next Doctor, who can be the next David Tennant-like person, who can be the Doctor for several seasons. It can actually do this, because I think that's the only way that they're going to be able to save face on this IP.
I feel really bad for the people in the UK, honestly, more than anything, because this show was immensely popular. Multi generations of people over there have grown up and loved this show their entire lives, and they've taken it and just ran it into the ground with their woke nonsense, and people are just over it over there. I was listening to a video this morning. They say it's down to like 1.5 million people out of 60 million people over there that are watching this thing now. And it used to be like 12, 13 million people were watching this thing over there. So, that's a large percentage of a population of people to watch a show. So it's telling. I don't even think they care right now over there. I think the show's kind of cooked. I think it's done. They need to wrap it up with this Christmas special thing that they're doing next year. And like you said, Odin, and like I said earlier, they just need to shelve it for a little while. It's they need to let it simmer. And
I mean, I think you could say the same thing about Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like the exact same thing happened to Star Trek. And same
Yeah.
thing's happening to Star Wars. I think Star Wars surprisingly has a little bit more staying power than these other two sci-fi.
It's the gay
franchises.
malware, bro. It slowly takes over everything and ruins everything.
Yep.
Yeah, the mind virus. But real quick, kind of like related to this thing with Disney. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Disney had this big dispute with YouTube TV over like the fee structure for their programming. And basically they came to a complete impasse, and now all Disney product like ABC and stuff like that is being pulled from YouTube TV. And this is kind of a big deal because it's, like they have like ESPN and stuff like that over there. But YouTube TV has been slowly basically eating cable's lunch. Like essentially, like you can subscribe to YouTube TV and get the same cable experience and do like, recordings for DVRs and stuff like that. And the idea that Disney's just like, like our content is worth so much more, you should pay more for it, didn't go over well with YouTube. And this is right after YouTube had got like the NFL and like all this other stuff on board. But it's kind of interesting because like, it seems like Disney is slowly becoming very, very focused on money, profitability and stuff like that. Whereas in previous years, back when the DEI money was flowing like water into wine, right? They didn't seem to care so much about this type of thing. So I wanted to get the panel's take on this kerfluffle between YouTube and Disney. What do you think about it, and do you think it's going to affect anything long term? Bueller, anyone chime in?
I don't know much about it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, neither do I.
I was banning somebody in chat, so I didn't hear your question. So
I feel like Tom has infected all you guys with like your...
I was listening, but also I was like, I really just have I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know much about this one. So I think YouTube, as you mentioned, though, right, about how it's been eating streaming's lunch. I think that, whatever happens, YouTube's probably still going to end up on top anyway.
yeah,
I mean, YouTube is the largest platform on the planet.
They got more money than God, dude. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
matter no matter how people feel about YouTube, YouTube has more views, more eyes, more subs than any other streaming service out there. So, and the only reason it's discounted is because most of the content is user generated.
No, Brian, this is YouTube TV. It's their basically cable service. So like they do like the live channels and like actual like TV content. It's not YouTube proper like what we're on right now.
Oh,
So
I see.
It's basically like you have to pay a different fee to a different monthly fee.
Right.
YouTube
I think the
TV.
only reason I ever had YouTube TV was to watch the Super Bowl one year when it was like, because I don't have terrestrial TV. I only have streaming. And one year it wasn't playing on any streaming service. So I had to get YouTube TV in order to watch it on like CBS or whatever.
Well, YouTube TV is basically cable, right? Except without the box. So like you can just log into YouTube, the YouTube TV app. It's got like the menu, just like the cable menu, and then like you can just see what's playing right now and watch
Like
it.
Tubi.
You can also, but it's not on demand. Like you can record shows that air normally.
Yeah.
But
Have you guys-
basically
So it's a TiVo. No thanks.
Have you guys noticed that services like that have like twice as many commercials as regular TV? It's really annoying. It's like I can't watch. I
You
can't
mean
watch.
Tubi?
Yeah, like Tubi. Exactly. Yeah, it's too much. It's like every 45 seconds, it's another block of 18 commercials. It's like,
Right.
Okay, enough.
All right. Well, speaking of commercials, guys,
I got an
don't know
ad
if
blocker, bro.
I don't know if you know this, but we got super chats to get to. So we got Mike Healy,
All right.
member for 3 months. Hi, guys. What do you think will make more at the box office, the new Running Man or Predator Badlands?
Oh, potentially wise Running Man because of the I'm blanking out on his name. Crap.
Chad Radwell.
No.
Glenn
Powell. There it is, Glenn Powell. That is the only.
Glenn Powell played Chad Radwell. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I am not a Running Man expert as far as even the original.
No. He, in Scream Queens, that was his character.
Oh,
name
okay.
Was Chad Radwell.
Okay. That is the factor there because all I know is we had a speaker come to our school recently who is a former actor that quit to like basically dedicate his life to faith. And in his story, he mentioned at one point towards the seniors, once all the other persons left, he mentioned how he's friends with Glenn Powell. And so, of course, all the girls always immediately go like, ah! Like, so just seeing their reaction, I was like, okay, Glenn Powell clearly very popular amongst women, but especially like teenage demographic. So I think that alone puts that at the edge.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? So basically, the marketing for both of these movies has been really bad.
Yeah.
But the new Running Man is actually much more faithful to the original Stephen King story as opposed to the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, which I think most people would be like, "Hey, I want to see a remake of the Arnold movie."
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Plus, movies ever made.
Plus, Stephen King has been kind of a real dick lately, even more dickish than usual. So
He's such a dick.
So I'm kind of boycotting all Stephen King stuff. His Long Walk movie with Mark Hamill failed miserably.
It didn't fail as much as you would think it would have, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's still like on paper only ended as a $5 million loss. It actually did better down the line than you would think. It basically doubled its box office after the first couple weeks.
How dare you pull your facts up in front of
I'm
you?
sorry. I just had to bring it up. I had to bring it up because again, I wanted to, because that's why when I was covering it too, I'm like, I want this thing to fail, but I have to be honest. These are the numbers, and it's again, it didn't do great, but it wasn't as big of a fail as I would have hoped it to have been because of.
But when it comes to the Predator Badlands, actually, like it's interesting because Prey did really well, but Prey was like a direct-to-streaming release. Yeah. Badlands is going to be out in the theaters, and it doesn't really have like a headliner to it. Like there's no Arnold, there's no like a big-name actor involved in it.
What was the budget?
Was it?
Elle Fanning is in it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna say like Elle Fanning, but like she's like an android who's basically C-3PO on like the Predator's back most of the time. Yeah. Like I don't know if there is enough buzz or interest in this movie, because like the young Predator does look kind of like douchey. Like it doesn't look like very good.
The
Not wearing a
Zoomer
mask or
Predator.
anything like it. Zoomer Predator, yeah.
Got his braids back in a ponytail. Yeah.
I mean, the
So
concept.
when he kills
is,
something, maybe he like dabs a little bit or does like a
yeah,
Fortnite dance.
he does the dab. But you know, the concept is cool, but it feels like a streaming movie. It doesn't feel like a theatrical release or anything like that. So I think that Running Man's probably going to do better because you know, Chad Radwell, aka Glenn Powell, is a draw, and people like him, and they will go show up to the theater for him. But I don't see that happening with Badlands.
I gotta be honest, dude. I'm actually excited to see Badlands early next week because I like Ella Fanning so much. She's awesome. And the guy that I didn't know this, but the guy that plays the Predator, or earlier I didn't know this, is the same guy that's he's in that Netflix movie. What's it called?
Which one, Brian?
That Netflix they release 100 a day. So I mean, be more
Sorry,
specific.
I always forget.
You know, the one with the guy.
The one with the guy in it.
The one with the guy that did the
honestly,
thing
I
with the
expected
stuff.
Matt to know the name of it. I forgot what it was called.
Just with the pretext of that Netflix movie with the guy.
Let me
right?
finish, Odin.
I can name that song in one note, Bob.
I've seen him in another movie where he has a very distinct like movement style. He's very his body movement is very animated. So I'm curious to see how this movie goes. Again, I like Fanning. She's really awesome. She was great in the Great, no pun intended.
Yeah,
She's
that's a great show.
It's a great show. She's a very very talented actress, very pretty, she has a lot of emotional range. And so I can't wait to watch her in this movie. And
If anyone hasn't watched The Great on Hulu, it stars Nicholas Hoult and Ellie Fanning, and it's awesome.
It's
a
awesome.
Great show. It's a fictional retelling of Catherine the Great in Russia.
And I got it, guys. That sounds so boring, but I'm telling you right now, this is not boring.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Really funny.
It's so funny, bro.
She's actually, I mean, the Fannings both are very talented actors. And I think that for her, like, especially, I remember when she came out in Super 8, I was just immediately like, oh gosh, I had no idea like that she was that good, right?
Have you guys heard anything about the rumors about how Ellie Fanning in Predator Badlands, she plays an android, and supposedly there's some tie-in with Alien Earth in terms of like, you know, she's one of like the, you know, the
she's a synth,
like, yeah, one of the synths from, you know, the Alien Earth universe that's doing crossover.
I think there might be 2 synths in this movie though. I'm not sure, but I think there might be 2.
I think the guy's name.
I think she's playing two different synths.
It's the guy named Demetrius Schuster
Kolomatangni.
Yeah, that guy.
I can't pronounce his name.
Or is it Mike Homick?
But I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, Demetrius something. And his movements, the way he moves and sort of, he's just very unique, man.
Yeah, I think it's him.
His body language is very unique. And so I'm sort of excited to see what that looks like in the Predator makeup.
Well, you know who else's body language is unique is Death Row. Remember 32 Months? Netflix has that Obama stank on it, along with the other problems they have with content they make. It's not Bezos level ROP, Rings of Power, but the gap is closing. I actually think Netflix is way worse than.
I disagree. Obama he had a contract to make some content, but that doesn't mean everything on Netflix has Obama stank on it. Because there's a lot of stuff on Netflix that I actually kind of like. I mean, I know it has its issues, but whatever, it's fine. It's good. I get what he's trying to say. Def Row, come play games with me, Def. I miss you, brother. So
miss you, bro.
What is
I miss you, bro, you cocksucker.
Yeah.
What is interesting is that it's not just Obama, it's a lot of Obama staffers from his administration who have executive level positions at Netflix. And that's one of it's almost like the joke where whenever Netflix produces something, it's like required that you put in some type of DEI, like race swap or someone's got to be gay, you know.
Right. Someone's got to be gay. It's always got to be gay.
Something like that. So that wasn't a thing until all the Obama people came in. So Just saying. And finally, we got Brian's boyfriend, John Yulden, speaking of being gay, for $9.99. Russell T. Davies is coming back to write the Christmas 2026 episode and has been told to wrap things up for a new production so they don't have to clear up his mess. So basically, Davies shit the bed. Now he's got to change it before he heads out. So pretty
Brian,
accurate, I
do
think.
you and John like call each other and say dirty things to each other over the phone?
We mostly complain about nerd stuff.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
But they make it dirty.
Yeah, so
dirty.
our foreplay is my like fucking we see Star Wars lately. Oh my god, it sucks so bad. Yeah, I was watching Doctor Who. It's even worse. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah. Guys, speaking of sucking and worse, let's talk a little bit about the October box office. And I'm really excited to get to hear Odin's take on this one. I chose this specifically so I could throw it to Odin.
Yeah, good, because I haven't watched a movie in like months. So.
Well, that's the problem, Matt, is nobody's watching movies. So basically, a Hollywood Reporter came out and said that this October has been such a disaster for the box office. Revenue has been the lowest ever, excluding the pandemic, which is when it hit its all-time low. But basically, it said that like nothing good has come out in September to lead into October. Nothing good came out in October. They did a lot of like kind of like adult fare indie movies that didn't hit. All the franchise stuff kind of fell flat, and because of the strikes, there's been a lack of production, so there wasn't a whole bunch of stuff there. In fact, Mortal Kombat 2 was supposed to come out this past October, but they had to push it back to next year. So like that left a big hole in the schedule. But what's interesting here to me is basically like this is just par for the course for Hollywood in the sense that like they just keep shitting the bed and not recovering from it. And a big part of this article was talking about how one of the things that they're blaming is the shortened window from movies from theatrical to streaming, and that a lot of these kind of like they call them upscale adult fare. So like there's this article here where they're talking about like the Rock's big flop, which was what was it, the Smashing Machine?
Smashing Machine,
like
yeah.
That. And what's interesting in this article, like you know, if you were to watch the trailer, you'd think, oh, it's a biopic about this real life guy and his journey into the ultimate fighting, but it's actually a movie about addiction. And so it's like, okay. But they're saying that a lot of these adult fare movies, like because they're not big events for theatrical, they go into the theater in order to get like the awards cachet and get nominated for like Oscars and stuff like that. But audiences are basically just saying like, oh, I'll just watch it when it comes on streaming because I'll wait a week after it gets released in theaters and then it'll be there. And so a lot of Hollywood is kind of just saying like, well, like if we extend the theatrical window from theater to streaming, that might fix the problem. But I think a lot of the issue here is also like people just, even if they did that for like these smaller mid-budget movies, most people would just be like, well, I don't want to go to the theater and spend $100 on parking and popcorn and all this other stuff in order to watch this thing that I could rent for like $10 when it comes out on streaming, because it's not a theatrical experience, right? So Odin, what's your take on the October Massacre when it comes to the theatrical business?
Oh, I mean, it's been bad, and it's been bad even before even October. We obviously had a July that came in a little bit under expectations. September, August then really didn't impress. September didn't get much better, and then October honestly was one of the worst months that we have seen, as was being mentioned there. And it's been terrible actually to cover this stuff, especially the last few weekends, because of how bad the movies have been, because of how little interest anyone has in these movies. Any coverage of the box office of these films are also basically non-existent too. So the views have not been all that great for me over the last month, just because, again, no one cares about Shelby Oaks coming out from Chris Stuckman, right? It's like, other than maybe a handful of people who know anything about that, right? No one really cares about that. The Springsteen film, I didn't even know that there was going to be a biopic about Springsteen until it was released. And I was like, oh, I guess this movie came out and no one's going to see that. Regretting You was a surprising one to me because it seemed to have the hallmarks of your, teen romance comedy. But then I found out, oh, it's the same person, it's based off of the same work that was done with the whole Blake Lively debacle, right? With her lawsuit against her director. It was the same. Basically, the writer of the book series that other film was on, where she was also apparently wanting to have it be promoted differently because she wanted it to be promoted more as like a romance, even though the story is not at all a romance. So now I'm wondering, are people like, oh, I don't know if I should watch this regretting you because it's got actors that I like in it, but is it actually going to be a romantic film, or is it going to, have that deep, darker about abuse like the last film was, right? Where it's like really not not something I really want to go see. So that film's not doing as well either. The only one that's doing, I guess, okay is the Black Phone 2. It's doing better than I had expected. It's actually matching up pretty well to the first Black Phone movie, even though I think the first Black Phone is a lot better than this one. Some people are I think a bit harsher on the Black Phone 2. I like a lot of elements of it, but I definitely do agree that the first one is better. But that film is right now on the cusp of breaking even. It's the only film, though, to come out this month that is on the cusp of breaking even, and everything else is awful. Iton Aries is well over $200 million in the red. Smashing Machine is $65 million in the red. One Bout After Another is still $145 million in the red. So it's been a really bad month, not just total box office, but also when you compare it to the budgets that they've been spending on these. And so will Hollywood finally wake up? I sure hope so, but I doubt it.
Well, what's crazy, Odin, what's crazy is that for the month of October, one of the biggest things that saved the ass of the theaters out there was Taylor Swift releasing, Party of a Showgirl in theaters. That pulled in something like $35 million over the course of a week, and got people into the theater, got butts in seats. I find it interesting is like when you're just doing like live concert fare, and that's beating out like actual like highly produced movies. Like there's something wrong there. But what's also interesting is the role anime is playing here. So you have Chainsaw Man the movie, and then you also have Demon Slayer Infinity, which have been like big surprises at the box office, considering like like not a lot of people know about Chainsaw Man, but like I think it was made for like next to nothing, and it's grossed like I think close to like I don't know $18 million or something like that. Yeah, which for a very obscure animated Japanese
domestically it's 26 million. Yeah, I mean it's and that's why I've been talking about that in the box office too, right? Is that anime has kind of taken over in a lot of ways. It's funny to hear people push back saying it's not like they're making that much money. It's like I'm not saying that in comparison to the biggest films to come out this year or the biggest films
to come out,
but as far as profit, absolutely they are destroying box office. And also, I mean, when you have a weekend, this is the craziest thing, right? When you have a Halloween day falling on a Friday, and there were no new releases from Hollywood. No new releases on Halloween.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Like everything that was coming out was Back to the Future 40th anniversary re-release, the Twilight Saga Fathom event, apparently happening this weekend too. That's it. There was maybe the expansion of a couple of things like Begonia, which was like an indie film, right? But other than that, there were no major new releases. And it's like they could have taken advantage of this weekend to put out a really cool horror film, thriller film, and had that potential Halloween audience. And again, I know the mindset Hollywood always has is, well, no one's going to go see it because they're doing all the other Halloween-y things. It's like, well, also because you're not putting out movies on that day either. Like the reason why these weekends aren't as good, the reason why they always say like, oh, well, Labor Day is never that big of a weekend anyway. It's like, yeah, maybe because you treat it that way. And if you didn't treat it that way, maybe that would be changing the story quite a bit.
I felt that way just about Halloween in general this year. It's come, it's gone. It barely even registered on my life, because usually Halloween is a really big thing around here, and it wasn't. I mean, we had trick-or-treaters and stuff last night, but it just seems like culturally there's, at least here in Las Vegas, it felt like there wasn't a lot going on. It was strange.
There's this trend away from trick-or-treat over to trunk-or-treat, right? Where like you just have people pull into a parking lot full of,
I don't know what that means,
with their cars full of candy, and then the kids just go from car to car.
Yes, last night. I'm like broken today. I'm so tired. My body is broken.
And I think that there wasn't a whole lot of like really kind of like viral costumes this year, because like typically it's run by like superhero films or like horror movies or whatever.
K-pop.
The biggest thing was K-pop Demon Hunters, in terms of, but like that's a girl's costume type thing.
A lot of classic costumes last night. Our neighborhood was hopping last night, actually, which was really cool to see. And one thing my wife noticed was that we actually saw a lot more adults, like a lot more parents this year, actually dressed up with their kids. So I think that there's definitely there's some movement there, which is good to see.
But what's interesting, Odin, is that so you had the Conjuring Last Rites, which came out, and it just like in terms of profitability, like it's insane.
Oh yeah.
Right. And in fact, like they're like, well, it was the last Conjuring, but now we're going to make a prequel because it made so much money, type thing. But
Crap ton.
yeah, but October, it's spooky season, so you'd think that like other than the Black Phone 2, Hollywood would have like some like low budget horror movies ready to like kind of come out so that people could watch them, but they seem to sleep on it this year. But you did mention something that I kind of want to touch on, which is Chris Stuckman's movie.
Mhm.
So I know that you all haven't been Stuckmanized, right?
Not in a long time.
Not in a long time, but Chris Stuckman, he was like one of the biggest movie
I
reviewers.
refuse to criticize anything because now that I'm a movie maker, I see how hard it is.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of tanked his reputation on that, but like this movie that he's been working on, Shelby Oaks, finally got released, and I watched a couple of trailers for it on YouTube, and dude, it looks like a shot on video, like student film. Like it doesn't look like a actual like professional movie or anything like that. I know he had a low budget, but he was working with like some producers who probably could have gotten him some better cinematographers or something. But I've been hearing a lot of mixed reviews about this film, and you would think somebody who's a movie critic would kind of like pay a little bit more attention and look how to structure a proper film or write a proper film. But Odin, have you seen the movie?
I have not, because it hasn't really had good showtimes near me, and I've been trying to see if it's ever going to be available, like online through different means. But unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, maybe. What's interesting to me though is listening to some people who are friends of his or former friends of his talk about the movie. And even they are like, okay, look, there are definitely some things worthy of praising here, but basically all of the consensus is that the writing is terrible. Like the general consensus amongst all the people, even friends of his, is that the writing is not good, and that they hope that the next film he takes on, he doesn't write it, because he clearly has a very interesting directorial flair. I mean, it was enough for him to get, Neon to distribute the film, give him some more money so that he could actually, spruce up some of the effects a little bit. You had a big name in the space of Mike Flanagan, right, to come on as an executive producer as well. So, clearly they see something in him as far as like his capacity as a director, but the writing from all we can tell was not good.
Yeah, and that's kind of the Achilles heel of a lot of these filmmakers is they don't bother to understand story.
I hope none of you guys. I hope none of you guys ever make a movie, because if you do, I'm gonna have to.
I have made a movie.
I'm gonna have to go to criticlist.com and be brutally honest. So it might not be. I might not be nice. So
Dutch, you just watched my music video this morning.
Yeah, that was awesome. You need to play it again for the people who weren't here.
We'll play it on the outro. We'll play it going out. But Brian, what do you think about the October Massacre? Do you think this is just another in the long line of movie theaters are cooked and they're going to go out of business soon?
I don't think movie theaters are going to go out of business soon.
No.
But it's always confused me why they don't put more movies out in October. And it's always been sort of a thing. This October has been really bad, but generally speaking, October is like reserved for like the re-release of, Saw 14 or whatever, some famous special edition of some horror movie from a million years ago. And it's weird. I saw the Scream 7 trailer today, and it comes out early
7?
next year. Yeah, Scream 7.
Wow.
Yeah, Nev Campbell's coming back and a bunch of characters. And I noticed it's coming back early next year, and I'm like, why isn't that movie an October release?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they take a famous horror franchise and release it when people are interested in being scared of things?
It's like releasing Star Wars in December, right?
Mm-hmm.
Goofy as hell.
I don't understand it. And you go back though, a lot of horror movies are not released in October. They're actually released in the early part of the year, the doldrums of movies. It's almost like they don't want to compete with blockbusters. They want their own space, which I get it. But why not pick October? Yeah. I've never understood that. There's not a lot of movies that release in October as it is. And a lot of horror movies, especially the big budget ones, tend to release early in the year, like February, March, which is interesting because I get it. They don't want to compete with blockbusters. And those are like, during those movie months, there's not a whole lot of like big budget stuff coming out. But why not in October when nothing ever comes out? I just don't get it. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I think October is kind of like award season. It's the start of award season where like they're releasing stuff to be considered for next year's awards. But also it's back to school. It's like the middle of the school year, and I think Hollywood, it used to be back in the good old days, like when you could only see movies at movie theaters and there was no like home video or anything like that. That October probably was like a down month, but like nowadays when you got like your phones and you got streaming and stuff like that, if you want people to go to the theater, you have to give them a reason to go. And October's spooky season. My wife went and saw the re-release of the Twilight movies in the theaters, and she came home and she was like, actually, they're the last time she did that, people dressed up, they got into cosplay. It was like a midnight movie type thing. She's like, this year there was barely anyone in the theater, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think a lot of it's just because like, if you want to go on Netflix and watch like the latest like zombie TV show release, or like, I went and watched movies I hadn't seen, like the original Black Phone, which was excellent. Mm-hmm. I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So like, there's just so much stuff that if you feel in the mood for watching a horror movie, you can just sit in the comfort of your own home and like watch it on streaming. So you have to give people a reason to go out to the theater. Yeah. And if you just look at the Conjuring, like it came out last month in September and it did gangbusters. So like people are there for it. It's just that I think this year in particular, because of the strikes, Hollywood just did like didn't have the content to get people in theater.
I mean, how about this? How about hold the Conjuring for 1 month?
Yeah. Well, a lot of these
making an event movie. I know it still did well, but like making an event movie. How about a horror movie that comes out from a popular franchise like the Conjuring or Scream? Like have that be your Thursday release on October 29th.
Yeah.
Like the whole weekend.
I think the problem is a lot of these like theater releases are booked like years in advance. And so like it's hard for them to kind of like change things up. But like, a little foresight would probably help out because the whole pulling of Mortal Kombat 2, which would have been a really cool, like kind of like Halloween era release, really threw everything for a loop because like they had to push it back a year.
But it makes so much sense that they went through the screeners and got such crazy good feedback that they decided to move it to a blockbuster release, which is I would argue it should have been in the first place.
But speaking of blockbuster releases, real quick before we wrap things up, I don't know if you guys got to see the season 5 trailer for Stranger Things. It just released a couple days ago, but I was very underwhelmed by what I was seeing. So like the last season of Stranger Things came out like 5 years ago, something insanely like long ago. And you'd think that, they're taking their time, they're doing this thing up. The costuming looked really goofy. The special effects looked very janky, like almost low budget. The music wasn't good. The kids all look like they're 80 years old. And this whole thing, I don't know if you've been following the whole David Harbour, Lily Allen drama that's been going on, but like they made a special point to try to hide David Harbour as much as possible from the trailer. It's just very strange, and no pun intended. But I'm like so not hyped for this final season, especially because they're releasing half the season in November, then half the season in December, and then they're waiting until New Year's Eve to release the final episode. And it's just like, Netflix, what are you doing? You're going against your whole binge model. It doesn't make any sense. What did you guys think?
They did the same thing with that cartoon, The Inside Job. The same exact thing, and it didn't make any sense at all. And then they canceled it right after they released the second part. You're like, oh.
I mean, they've done that with other shows in the past where they like, I think Wednesday famously like had like the season broken up over the course of like 2 months or something like that. And I think it's just because they want stuff that people can watch or binge over the holidays. So they just try to like stretch it out. But it's been a long time since season 4. And I don't know if enough people out there are actually like hyped about this, because like seeing Millie Bobby Brown in the trailer, like she's wearing this like sweatpants with like booty shorts over it or something like that. She like looks really
so
strange.
weird.
and she looks like she's 40.
Yeah, she looks like a 40-year-old mom who
Shorts over
who-
sweatpants was a thing back then. Okay.
Yeah, but she looks like a 40-year-old mom, and it's laundry.
It was, but she doesn't look good in them, Matt. Like
No.
she really doesn't.
I don't watch Stranger Things.
She's a 40-year-old mom, and it's laundry day, and she has nothing but left to
Yeah.
wear, but the clothes she kept from the 70s. I don't.
And Finn Wolfhard looks like Rick Moranis.
Right.
It's crazy.
I've been waiting for 10 years now so I can stream the whole series at one time. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch them age all over in one day. Go, wow, that's really weird how they've grown up from 10 years old to 40 over the course of 4 or 5 seasons. So,
all right, guys. Well, we had a lot to talk about today, and we talked about it. I want to thank everyone for showing up for this special edition of Salty Saturdays. I want to thank my fantastic panel of nerds for showing up sort of on time and sticking around till the very end of the show, unlike some people, I say.
important things to do.
Yeah, way more important than our stream. Odin of OMB Reviews, any final thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Yeah, you can find me over at OMB Reviews on YouTube, Rumble, over on X as well. And final thoughts, it's going to be an interesting November because we do finally have some films that are likely going to make at least some money at the box office. Zootopia 2, for instance. And, of course, in December, we'll have Avatar. Those are the 2 films I do think have some potential to hit $1 billion. But we'll have to wait and see.
This Avatar is 7.
Yeah, I don't get Avatar. Man.
I have
Like,
don't
no
either.
interest in Avatar. It's so stupid.
It's like you talk to everyone, even the people who like Avatar, like they don't get like super excited for it. They're just like, yeah, Avatar is good, but like no, like no one's like, oh man, I can't wait.
It's surface
No
level.
one.
That's why. It's surface level. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's-
oh, it's so pretty to look at, though. And it's like, okay.
Yeah,
And?
it just feels so basic, dude.
Yeah.
It is.
Speaking of pretty and basic, Brian, what's going on the Brain Show, and do you have any final thoughts?
Avatar sucks. Never understood why anyone likes that garbage. And the Brain Show's gonna be great. John's gonna be waiting for me. We're talking about politics and aliens and some entertainment and
I'm going to take a day
Muslims
off.
taking over the UK. And
I want to take a day off, Brian, and come on your show.
you should do that 100%.
I'm going to someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, Dutch.
We won't
Brothers
even
talking
tell
about
people
politics.
that Shane's not there. We'll just put you up there. And we'll see how long it takes them to
I
figure
can be
it out.
Shane. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have the voice for it, Dutch. I'm
No, I
sorry.
don't, but I can sit in Shane's box. That's fine. That sounded weird. That
Like,
sounded
Brian,
really weird.
Brian, can you make the Shane AI do like real time voice changing so like Vader can have or Dutch can have Shane's voice?
Yeah, I actually probably could do that.
You probably could. Yeah.
Just VTube Shane. It's just like
It's
animated Shane and yeah. All right, so guys, as soon as this show is over, you'll be automatically redirected through the power of technology to the Brain Show. So just sit through their hour-long intro while Brian
It's
goes to the
5
bathroom.
minutes.
and
It's
stuff
5
like that.
minutes.
Yes, you keep telling yourself that.
You gotta
It's
have
a
time
cool
to
I don't
intro.
believe you. Anyway, Dutch Butters, any
Yeah.
final thoughts and what's going on the gaming channel?
Oh, what's going on the gaming channel? 3 videos a week now, 4 to 5 live streams and shorts and all kinds of fun stuff going over there. We're playing the brand new game came out Thursday called Arc Raiders. It is a really fun game. It's like a really weird mix of Tarkov mixed with World of Warcraft type things going on. You go out and you gather loot and do quests and fight and shoot or team up with other people that are out there on the battlefield. It's a really interesting mix of different types of games, and I love it. And it's doing real well. We're also playing some Battlefield 6 over there, and we're still waiting for Helldivers to get their act together to play some more of that. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Doing a lot of stuff over there. You can find me Dutch Butters on YouTube, Kick, and on X. So come find me.
And
Follow
in
me.
Grinder.
And
Yes.
no.
Well, you can definitely find Brian on Grinder.
Yeah, for sure.
That's right.
Okay, guys. So our poll, the winner by just a narrow margin, is Salty Savages for our
No,
community.
I'm vetoing that.
So
that.
well, what I'm saying is that was the winner this week. So the winner last week was Salt Miners. So we now have Salt Miners and Salty Savages. We're gonna have a
Oh,
couple
boy.
more in the tier to kind of
Salt-
narrow it down to the best name.
Saltards.
No,
Saltards.
no.
When
It
I
lost.
get-
It's done. It's
No.
over.
Salt tards is what we're
It
doing.
lost. It's done. It's over.
All All right. I want to give a big shout out to Latino Slant, Captain JPS, Funny and Dark, and John Yulden for their super chats this show. Thank you guys so much. We always appreciate the support. So, guys, should we play the his name is Dutch Butters?
Yeah, do it.
Music video.
Dutch Butter.
Do it.
World premiere for our outro.
Yeah, do it.
Real quick before I do that, though, did you guys really honestly did you enjoy the music video?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I want to see it again. I wasn't kidding. I want to see it again.
All right. Here we go. Until next time, everyone, stay salty, my friends.
Calling Dutch butter, the manliest man, the legend, the myth. I said they call him Dutch butter, the manliest man there ever was. Dutch butter. Dutch butters, and there ain't no other. I said Dutch butters, and there ain't